Then, Jim, there was the longer-term message out of Jensen Huang yesterday talking about the advances we're going to see primarily in medical science over the next 10 years, and in his words, something you don't want to miss. Listen to that.
Mark, I'm just getting started. These are my finest hours. We're just getting started. This is the best. Nobody should miss the next decade. Would you agree with that? The next decade of technology advance. Everybody, yeah. Dude, you're not going to want to miss this movie. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this movie. I think the next 10 years, the breakthroughs that we're going to have in digital biology, the breakthroughs in just helping diagnosing disease, the breakthroughs in science. We're going to have so many scientific assistants.
Jim, what'd you think?
Look, I think this is, for Jensen, this and obviously just the plain old data center where he has inside all of his stuff. But yeah, what he's talking about is right now you have this disparate collection of records that would take maybe 10 years to sort through to find common genes of what causes cancer. And now it can be done in 3 or 4 days. This is the accelerated computing side, not just the generative AI side. And it is very exciting. Jensen comes in, and you have to understand that you may think that AI is something that is a bubble. And then this man comes in, he's of a different plane entirely, and he's basically telling you, look, we do not have the ability as humans to get things done, but the machines do. And he feels that the machines, David, are good guys.
Yeah, he does.
Run by good people. Yes.
Right. I know. I always find myself thinking of that apocalyptic movie that will be made, or sometime in the future, where, of course, they run that basic clip. And then the next thing is the robots rounding everybody up and killing them.
Well,
I can't help. I don't know.
Your view is. Well, not many people talk about your view, David. But that's
maybe
okay.
They should. Maybe they should. I mean, it always comes back to everything's going to be done to make us live longer, but we don't seem to be talking about the other side.
Well, do you know who really thinks that you're dead wrong?
Not insignificant risk that is shared by so many.
Matthew McConaughey would tell you that Matthew McConaughey, who does a lot of work with Mark, I think he would debunk you. Or he might find you he may think you're a hallucinating
that is my go-to, typically, on all things, is Matthew McConaughey. That's who I would.
Well, that's why I bring him up, because I think that it's definitive.
When I have a question, it was just the testimony yesterday for Capri Tapestry. I call Matt McConaughey, because why wouldn't I?
Well, I think you're
trying to understand U.S. Steel. I call Matt McConaughey. And of course, when it comes to AI and all of my questions about the future, Matt McConaughey.
Well, doesn't it matter that he's like 1,000% cooler than you are?
I don't know if it does, but
okay,
I would agree with the basic premise. Yes.
I don't want to be fatuous, Carl. The reason why I bring him up is that Matthew McConaughey is probably one of the closest, if maybe the closest, advisor to Mark about how to tell the story. I saw that last night. It's incredible. He's finishing the sentences of Mark. He's actually augmenting things, making things more competitive, making things more human. And he's a very compelling figure that I know the Wall Street Journal felt doesn't really earn his keep. I think it's the opposite. I think he's underpaid.
Well, I want you to get into those little corners with people and get them to share their most significant worries and concerns and doubts, Jim. That's what I want, all right? I want to stop hearing about all the advances that are going to be made in terms of decoding disease, which will be wonderful. Yes, absolutely. But I want to understand the other side of this.
Okay, here's the other side. People who are in tech just keep coming back to what could happen with healthcare, but they're not doing anything about the healthcare, but they think it's the best usage for the next couple of years. I have Lisa Su on tonight. Lisa Su told a big room 2 nights ago that we will look back 10 years from now and just kind of be shocked at how prehistoric we were, about how inefficient we were, and about how uncreative because we didn't have AI. Carl, Lisa Su is in a dogfight with Jensen Huang. Right now, she's behind because Jensen's got more and more. Jensen's actually pulling away. But I think she offers a unique view that there are other things that AI can do right than what we talk about now.
Well, if not McConaughey, we have Larry Fink, of course, BlackRock and Microsoft launching this $30 billion fund to finance AI infrastructure build out. We did talk to Larry Fink, I think, Jim, back in April about the promise of this whole space. Take a listen to that.
AI cannot truly happen unless there's a huge investment in infrastructure. The amount of energy that is required for AI is enormous. And the amount of power generation. We will run out of electricity if we are going to fully adapt to a full AI world. And so the need to build out, and this is all going to stimulate our economy, by the way, to build out of more AI, and which at the backside is that means building out more electricity power.
We listened closely to those words at the time.
Yeah, and I've got to make something really clear. The hyperscalers, the big companies, the tech titans, all have to build more because we just keep hearing when I'm out here, I ask everybody, was Larry Ellison right when he talked about how he has 162 data centers and he'd like to have 1,000, maybe 2,000? Everyone says, yes, that's the number. And I say, well, maybe he overbuilds and everybody else overbuilds. And the percentage of how much of electricity, by the way, the secretary of the EPA administrator told me it's going to go from 4 to 8%. Of the entire grid because the demand is so humongous for data centers. And David, I know you may have a pejorative view on what's about who could hijack a data center, but that is one of the prevailing themes, which is that the data center lives, it's incredibly important, and if you don't do the data center, then you may be Bing. No one wants to be Bing.
Nobody wants to be binged. Or
No.
Clippy, apparently, as well.
Clippy was just the
different
insult of a
Microsoft
life. I
products.
thought the insult was so, I mean...
Listen, we talk about it every day for a reason. The incredible need, the insatiable demand for computing power that reflects in the need for more and more data centers, which, of course, consume enormous amounts of power. Again, I come back to Ellison as well. I just thought one of the revelations from that call last week was we have a team of former utility executives who do nothing but think about how we're going to figure out how to power all of these data centers that we're building as we move from, 162 to over 1,000 of them. There's no doubt.
Well,
and an enormous amount of capital is going to be needed. And the BlackRocks of the world and so many other alternative asset managers as well, Apollo and on from there, and Blackstone, they're all there. They're all there.
Look,
they all will continue to be with enormous amounts of capital that will be needed to fund this.
I interviewed Dave Regnery. He is the CEO of Train Technologies. There's a chart up 53%. It's all about one of his major things is to make it so that these places are cooled, but they don't generate a lot of greenhouse gases. And when I see the chart, I say to myself, wow, you can't stop that train. It is just incredible. It's deeply in the heart of AI. Trades at 35 times earnings and all-time high pretty much consistently for days and days and days. All AI. That means, and that's the chart of data centers. More important, that's the chart of data centers.
All right, I hope you're all doing well today and staying calm in this market. The S&P finished the day down about 0.3% after a volatile trading session. NVIDIA closed the day down nearly 2%, and Tesla closed the day down about 0.3%. I still think there is upside on Tesla between now and October 10th, as long as the robotaxi event is not delayed again, and as long as the rest of the market can simply remain calm. Speaking of the rest of the market, today the Federal Reserve announced a 50 basis point cut. Additionally, FOMC members' projections for the federal funds rate in 2024 dropped to 4.4%, which means we are likely to see more rate cuts later this year. Markets initially reacted positively to this, but then traded lower into the close. Typically, the Fed would cut by 25 basis points, and so a cut of 50 is mildly concerning to market participants because they start to wonder what the Fed sees that we don't. And this is where fears of a potential recession come back into play. Remember, even if the Fed were to foresee a recession, they would never admit this because in doing so, they would almost certainly crash the markets and cause a recession to hit sooner rather than later. Fed Chair Powell says he doesn't see a recession, but I am just saying that this is a point of concern for some market participants. So that's where we stand as of right now. We got a 50 basis point cut today, and we are expecting 2 more 25 basis point rate cuts later this year. It will be interesting to see how the markets react in the days following today. Now looking at NVIDIA's chart, we did close below this support trend line that stretches back to January of this year. Additionally, the histogram on the daily time frame has changed directions and actually moved slightly lower today. Both of these developments do not bode well for the short term. Ultimately, though, I would like to see how the overall market reacts over the next day or two before making a call on NVIDIA's short-term price action. I want to let market participants digest digest all of the information we got today and then see what their reaction is over the next couple days. That being said, we do have a demand zone on the 4-hour time frame. Remember, supply and demand zones are areas in which a supply or demand imbalance has occurred in the past, and so these are areas where reversals are more likely to occur. However, I do not buy or sell just because price reaches these zones. Rather, I pay attention to how price and volume react to these zones in order to make better informed trading decisions. If we get a close below this demand zone on the 4-hour time frame in the days ahead, then I would be looking for a move lower and potentially a retest of the recent low, around $100 per share. But again, we need to pay attention to how the rest of the market reacts over the next couple days, because this will have an important impact on NVIDIA in the short term. Looking ahead, over the medium term, I am cautious regarding NVIDIA between now and late October/early November. There are two reasons for this. First, we have an election in early November, and I expect this to lead to an increase in market volatility the closer we get to November. And secondly, attention surrounding NVIDIA and subsequently NVIDIA share price tends to move in cycles in between earnings reports. This is an oversimplified graphic, and I'm just trying to communicate the underlying concept here. NVIDIA has followed this pattern twice this year, reaching a relative low about 3 to 5 weeks prior to the company's next earnings report. And I understand that the most recent relative low in early August was exacerbated by the unwind of the carry trade. But we can clearly see that NVIDIA was trading lower well before August, and therefore would have likely reached a relative low during this time regardless of the carry trade situation. So given the upcoming election and the cycle that NVIDIA typically moves in, I am cautious regarding NVIDIA between now and late October/early November. Even if the rest of the market moves higher this month, because we got a rate cut today, I would personally still be cautious with NVIDIA until we get to late October/early November. So those are my short-term and medium-term thoughts on NVIDIA. Now let me give you my long-term view. From a long-term perspective, I am bullish on the future of NVIDIA for multiple reasons. The hyperscalers must invest in AI infrastructure now, or else they will be quickly left behind by their competitors. The hyperscalers have yet to show any signs of slowing their capex spending on AI. Blackwell is on the horizon and is scheduled to begin shipping in Q4. Blackwell is so much more than just a chip. It's an entire platform, and this opens the door to a massive revenue opportunity for NVIDIA. So yes, in the short term, anything could happen. From a long-term perspective, though, I am bullish on the future of NVIDIA, and I think the company's brightest days are ahead. As long as nothing unexpected happens with Taiwan, then I think NVIDIA should be just fine for at least the next couple years. With all of that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.